Your budget is perfect on paper, but then your car insurance bill hits, and suddenly you are scrambling to cover it, wondering where you went wrong. This happens to millions of people every single month, and the problem is not your willpower or your income. The problem is that traditional budgeting ignores a critical reality. Not all expenses happen every month. This is where sinking funds come in, and they might be the missing piece that finally makes your budget work. So what exactly is a sinking fund? Think of it as a mini savings account for a specific future expense. Instead of being blindsided when your car registration is due or when Christmas rolls around, you set aside small amounts every month so the money is waiting when you need it. The beauty of sinking funds is that they turn irregular expenses into predictable monthly contributions. Here is how to set them up. First, list out all your non-monthly expenses for the entire year. Car insurance, holiday gifts, annual subscriptions, home repairs, vacations, back-to-school shopping, birthdays, even things like haircuts or vet visits. Be thorough because forgetting an expense is what derails budgets. Second, estimate how much each will cost annually. Look at past spending or research typical costs. It does not need to be perfect, just realistic. Third, divide each annual cost by 12 to get your monthly contribution amount. If you spend $600 on holiday gifts, that is $50 per month into your holiday sinking fund. Fourth, decide where to keep these funds. Some people use separate savings accounts, others use budgeting apps with virtual envelopes, and some literally use physical envelopes with cash. The method matters less than the consistency. Fifth, treat these contributions like any other bill. Every month, move money into each sinking fund before you spend on wants. This is not optional money. It is spoken for. Let me give you a real example. Sarah was constantly stressed about money even though she made decent income. Every few months, something would come up. Her 6-month car insurance payment, her annual Amazon Prime renewal, her mom's birthday, and she would either skip paying another bill or throw it on a credit card. She felt like she could never get ahead. Then she started using sinking funds. She identified 10 irregular expenses totaling about $4,000 per year. That broke down to roughly $330 per month. Yes, it meant her monthly budget felt tighter at first, but the transformation was incredible. When her car insurance bill arrived, the money was already there. No stress, no juggling, no debt. For the first time in years, she felt in control. The psychological benefit of sinking funds cannot be overstated. They eliminate financial surprises, which are one of the biggest sources of money stress. They also remove guilt from spending because when you use sinking fund money, you are spending money you deliberately saved for that exact purpose. Want to take a vacation? If you have been contributing to a vacation sinking fund, you can book that trip without any guilt or worry about derailing your finances. Common sinking fund categories include car maintenance and repairs, medical expenses and deductibles, home maintenance, gifts for all occasions, clothing, annual memberships, property taxes if you own a home, pet care, and personal development like courses or conferences. You do not need to start with all of them. Pick 3 to 5 that cause you the most stress and start there. You can always add more as you get comfortable with the system. One question people ask is whether sinking funds are different from emergency funds. Yes, completely different. An emergency fund is for true emergencies, unexpected job loss, medical emergencies, major unforeseen repairs. Sinking funds are for expenses you know are coming. You just do not know the exact timing or amount. Your car will eventually need new tires. That is not an emergency. That is a known future expense perfect for a sinking fund. Another question is what to do with leftover money. If you budgeted $200 for car repairs this year but only spent $150, you have options. Roll it over to next year's car fund, redistribute it to an underfunded sinking fund, or move it to savings. The flexibility is yours. Here is the mistake people make, though. They set up sinking funds but do not actually fund them consistently, or they raid them for other purposes. If you take money from your car repair fund to go out to dinner, you have defeated the entire purpose. Sinking funds only work if you respect the boundaries. Think of each fund as money that is already spent just waiting for the bill to arrive. The initial setup takes effort. You need to track your spending, identify patterns, and be honest about costs. But once your sinking funds are running, budgeting becomes so much easier. You are no longer surprised by predictable expenses. You are not living in constant reaction mode. You are planning ahead, like wealthy people do. This is actually one of the secrets of people who seem to effortlessly manage money. They are not necessarily earning more, they are just planning better. Start today by listing just 3 irregular expenses that stress you out. Calculate the monthly amount you need to save for each. Set up a system to move that money aside every time you get paid. In 6 months, when one of those expenses hits, you will feel the relief of having the money ready and waiting. Sinking funds are not glamorous. Nobody is going to give you a trophy for setting them up. But they are one of the most practical, effective tools for taking control of your finances and finally making your budget work in the real world.